This video is kind of a reiteration of points I've already made in previous videos, specifically about physical attractiveness, introversion, and emotional labor, among other things, along with something that I'm going to term inappropriate resourcing. But I think this bears repeating, especially for my newer subscribers, because I'm really trying to get at the heart of what constitutes the workplace bullying dynamic. Now, I'm trying to avoid terms like narcissism and narcissistic because I think at this point they are so overused that they essentially don't really mean anything anymore, but I still maintain that workplace bullying is a form of narcissistic abuse. Again, narcissism is not a pathology, it's not a diagnosis. It's just a personality style. The word narcissistic is an adjective, just like any other, that can be used to describe a person's character. A person can be narcissistic just as they can be friendly or emotional or whatever. And narcissism is on a continuum, okay? It comes in degrees. Narcissistic people can range from your everyday garden variety run-of-the-mill jerk to someone who radiates so much evil that you can't stand to sit in the same room with them. So at the severe extreme of the spectrum, you do have some people who may be malignant or even full-on psychopathic. Call them malignants, call them psychopaths, call them dark triad. These are dark souls or dead souls. These people are basically serial killers. They live for death. They are anti-life. They are murderers in their hearts. Because they are too pussy to literally kill anyone, they try to commit murder by proxy, by getting people to either kill themselves or, God forbid, kill someone else. If they can drive you to suicide, that is their ultimate goal. But if they can get their victims to kill another person, for example, with their car due to road rage, then they'll settle for that too. Pathological jealousy is always a factor in these types of cluster B disorders, but you are targeted due to a combination of both your strengths and your weaknesses. The dynamic is, I'm going to enjoy hurting you because you have something that I don't, schadenfreude. And you're going to make it easy for me to hurt you because you're vulnerable. Again, narcissists can only infiltrate you through your pre-existing insecurities. This could be some kind of childhood family trauma. This could be your own mental illness, neurodivergence, or just low self-esteem, or all of the above. Before you take offense, your vulnerability could just be that you're new, lowest on the totem pole, you don't have enough support, and it's a last hired, first fired type thing. And as soon as they are done chewing you up and spitting you out, they immediately move on to the next victim because they're addicts. They are always repeat offenders. They have a high body count and a lot of blood on their hands. You are not the first person they've done this to. They've done it before and they'll do it again. Now, I don't have enough esoteric knowledge to know what exactly is going on with these people, but I'm pretty sure it's spiritual. I have definitely interacted with some people in the workplace and thought to myself, whatever this is, it's not human. They may be full-on demons in human form, if that's possible. This is Satan's army walking among us. They may be possessed by some kind of dark energy, demonic or other. They may be negatively influenced by some kind of attachments due to bad habits and poor spiritual hygiene. But what they almost always have in common is black eyes. Regardless of actual eye color, their eyes have no life in them. Their souls are dead. I cannot be the only person who has noticed that. But not all workplace bullies are that far gone. Most of them, quite frankly, are just insecure. I know that narcissists are supposedly defined by so-called charm and charisma, and I know some workplace bullies may flex their swag on, especially if they know they're hurting you. But if you can back off all of your hatred, rage, pain, and anger for a moment and take a good hard look at these people objectively, I bet you can very clearly see a bunch of losers crippled by self-loathing. Narcissists are also defined by insecurity. Their insecurity and their neediness is pathetic and cringe. They don't feel good about themselves. That lack of confidence lends itself to an anxious attachment style, which I'm sure all bullies have, and a lot of very weird, inappropriate comments and behaviors that may or may not be intentionally hurtful. They're nerds. They have no game. Yes, sometimes pathologically jealous workplace bullies take one look at you, see green, and then just barrel full throttle into full-blown abuse. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. But sometimes workplace bullying is effectively one big temper tantrum that spoiled, entitled, narcissistic 3-year-old toddlers are throwing because they are not getting what they want from you, but to which they feel entitled. What do workplace bullies want? The same thing we all want, a connection. They want to engage with you. It's just that they want it on their terms and on their level, which is the level of ego, and it's messy. And it's always emotional and energetic in nature, even in an intellectual profession. In some cases, the people who appear to be trying to kill you may actually quite like you. Some of them want to be friends with you. A lot of them want to have sex with you. Some of them want to be you. Some of them may have some kind of delusional parasocial relationship with you, like stan culture. Sometimes it's all of the above. When I had my first session with my psychic medium 7 years ago, she didn't know anything about me or what I did. And she said to me, the people who are in your profession really admire you and look up to you a lot. Bitch, are you fucking shitting me? Could have fooled me. They sure had a funny way of showing it. Nothing I experienced in the last 30 years felt like admiration. In fact, it felt like hardcore abuse. Now, some of them don't even give you a chance. This is their low self-esteem. These are very negative, glass half empty people who awfulize and catastrophize and fully expect the worst case scenario. They are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's just a self-protective defense mechanism. If you expect the worst, you never get disappointed. The minute that they meet you, they start projecting. They assume that you won't like them and that you will reject them. This is where all of the you think you're better crap comes from. You don't think you're better, they think you're better. They don't feel good enough for you. Bullying is by definition low self-esteem behavior, and in many respects, bullies are simply manifesting in perfect accordance with their poor self-concept. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. They fully expect you to reject them, so they behave in ways that force you to reject them. This is the MO behind negging, and I have a video on that too, as exhibited by incels who harass women with insults the minute that they meet them. The women that they neg are naturally repulsed by them, so when they reject them, it reinforces the incel's limiting belief that they really are losers, unworthy and undeserving of love. And none of this is conscious. People with absolutely zero self-awareness are all acting and reacting in ways that validate deeply unconscious programs. With other workplace bullies, on the other hand, at some point that you probably don't remember, there were attempts to connect and engage with you, and you didn't deliver. You have only one chance to make it or break it with these people. First impressions are everything, and you didn't pass the litmus test. When they approached you, you did not respond exactly the way that they wanted you to. In other words, you did not immediately grant the supply to which they feel fully entitled. And that is why I say that all abusers don't really see anything wrong with what they're doing, because in their minds, all abuse is provoked. It's a retaliation. You started it. You didn't give them what they wanted, which they never articulated directly. Again, if you are going to survive in these toxic workplaces, I hope you have a crystal ball. Bunch of grown-ass adults who are not capable of formulating a single, clear, coherent, complete, or even grammatically correct sentence in their native language. They fully expect you to read their minds, work out exactly what it is they want from you, and meet their needs, all while they have absolutely nothing to offer you in return. And they feel fully entitled to punish you when you don't. This is why they switch up on you and pull the Jekyll and Hyde Gemini about face. They were just testing the waters to see whether or not you would be the source of supply that they wanted you to be. They thought you would give them what they want. When it turns out that you actually have no interest, because you are an individual human being with your own identity and your own boundaries, not an object who exists to service the needs of others, they go on the warpath because they are psychological rapists who refuse to take no for an answer. If they want to be friends with you, you're supposed to be friends with them. If they want to have sex with you, I guess you're supposed to drop to your knees and blow them right there, even if they're married and you're not attracted to them. If they tout their accomplishments, you're supposed to fawn because you are so impressed by their sheer and utter awesomeness. If they flatter you, you're supposed to flatter them back. If they start wallowing in their little one-woman woe is me self-pity party, you're supposed to feel sorry for them. If they want to dominate you, you're supposed to be subordinate. If they want to intimidate you, you're supposed to respond with fear. If they accuse you of stuff you didn't do, you're supposed to apologize. If they want to give you unsolicited advice, you're supposed to act dumb and passively allow them to waste your time and train you on stuff that you already know in order to validate their superiority complex. It's just all about them. Your feelings be damned. You don't have feelings because you're not a human being. You are a mirror that exists to reflect their own energy back to them so that they feel validated. Exactly like a parent mirrors a child. Again, you are supposed to stop what you're doing, drop everything, whip out your crystal ball, and very quickly work out what it is these people want from you, while you are working as an educator, doctor, attorney, engineer, accountant. You are supposed to simultaneously serve as both a psychic medium and a professional psychologist. You're supposed to match their energy. In other words, it's energetic. All of this is, I've said it before and I'll say it again, workplace bullying has nothing to do with work. All of the problems in the workplace are emotional and energetic, even in our intellectual professions. Workplace bullies are people who, despite having families and partners and 4 or 5 kids of their own at home, very much enter the workplace for the express purpose of getting their emotional needs met. They are using the workplace as a playground for them to work out their unprocessed and unhealed pain and trauma from their dysfunctional childhood families of origin. It's kind of like a gym for exercising or exorcising emotional issues. They are not there to work. And that is what I mean by inappropriate resourcing. I'm open to being wrong, but I don't think that's appropriate. I think the expression "we're like family" is a red flag that needs to be retired. Work is not family, and family is not work. This is Basic Boundaries 101. I understand that we are not zombie robot automatons. We are emotional beings, and we should not be expected to shut off our emotions for 9 hours a day. I understand that people make friends and even meet their partners through work. This is true. If a coworker is in crisis, for example, if she has a death in the family, then we can and should have empathy. We can give her time and space to heal, and we can all come together as a team to divide her responsibilities among us while she is in mourning. But here's the thing, workplace bullies are all, by definition, insecurely attached. They have an anxious attachment style. They don't know how to have healthy relationships because they don't have any boundaries and they have too much trauma. Not one of them has any vested interest in actually getting to know you as a human being and engaging with you in a connection of mutual respect, equality, and peace. They have no intention of meeting you halfway. The one thing they all want is access to your emotional body, your inner being, so that they can feed off of your energy as a source of supply, again, all while they have absolutely nothing to offer you in return. It's a one-way street. That's not interpersonal skills, people. That's enmeshment. And it's codependency. This is why when they are trying to get rid of you, if they can't come after your actual work, it's just all about your attitude. If it's not about your work, it has to be about your personality, because they can never be honest, even with themselves, about what the problem really is, which is absolutely nothing more than their pathological jealousy. In my essay on workplace bullying, I wrote about a particularly traumatic experience 10 years ago when I was bullied out of my position by bullies who justified their bullying by calling me unfriendly. Bullies have also called me reserved, rude, cold, serious, and uptight. Ladies, if you get the uptight gaslighting, let me go ahead and translate that one for you. It's sexual. It's a colorful descriptor for what is essentially wishful thinking, if you know what I mean. They can't fuck you. When I heard the unfriendly gaslighting, I was like, what in the actual F? I'm driving down here. I'm walking in here every day, greeting everyone, white knuckling through a stomach churning, vomit inducing, running commentary about every single inch of my physical body before I have a chance to even breathe after a harrowing 45-minute drive on the freeway. I'm showing up for every meeting, even the ones that I was not expected to attend. I'm doing all the lunches and the dinners and the parties and all the special events and activities, even when I was discouraged from doing so by jealous bullies who did not want the competition of my presence. I have made friends in this place that I am inviting into my inner circle and even paying for. I'm carting everyone all over town in my car, incurring miles wear and tear on my vehicle on my dime. In my job, I'm going above and beyond. I'm doing everything I am told to do, and then some. In every job I have ever had, I have creatively invented additional responsibilities for my job description because these uncreative people couldn't come up with anything for me to do. But when I talked to a psychic about the bullying, she said, what your boss is talking about is actually energetic. Nothing I did was good enough because it was never about what I did. They didn't want my actions. They wanted my energy. What that comment tells me is that I was not as sick, unhealthy, and dysfunctional as they were. I didn't engage with them the way that they wanted me to because I was actually professional and had boundaries. When they called me unfriendly, what I heard was that my bullies actually wanted to be friends with me. That just makes me feel sorry for them. I don't know about you, but I tend not to want to be friends with people who are actively in the process of bullying me, but they were emotional cowards who felt entitled to bully me out of my job because they never got what they wanted from me, which they never expressed directly. Hey Claire, you seem like a cool person, and I think we might have some things in common, and I think we should be friends. Would you like to have lunch sometime? That wasn't so hard, was it? What is so difficult about expressing what you want directly? Decades ago, when I first started working, a coworker of mine asked me out on a date. He was a lovely guy. If you are a nice guy, take heart. I really believe that nice guys win in the end. All the girls who rejected you when you were younger will one day regret not going for the golden retriever boyfriend. But I was so young that I couldn't respond to nice. I could respond only to abuse because that was all I knew. That was my normal. When you hate yourself and want to die, you attract partners who treat you accordingly. So I declined. After that, guess what happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. We continued working together and we remained friends. In fact, we even hung out together as friends outside the workplace. That was a grown-ass man. That is how adults respond to rejection. I'll give you another example. In one of my recent jobs, one day, my boss asked me for advice about curse removal. Either she watches my channel or I just be given witchy vibes. She said her boyfriend was experiencing an unusual amount of setbacks in his career. If you are encountering a lot of blocks in your life and that's not normal for you, that might be an indication that someone might be putting the juju down on you. I asked her if she suspected anyone, and she said yes, they suspected several coworkers. So we talked about some things that she could do. She's Latina, so she already knows the whole rodeo. And then I said, well, I have 3 spells that I wrote for my viewers. I wrote 3 spells for you to use if you think someone has attempted black magic against you. They are in the notes for both of my black magic videos. I don't use them myself because I don't mix my energy with anyone else's. I asked her if she wanted to try them. She said yes, so I went home, printed them out, and gave them to her. I had some extra Palo Santo lying around, so I gave her some of that. Weeks passed. We were alone together in her office, so I said, so how'd it go? Do you think those spells helped? And she said, oh yeah, great, perfect. Everything's back to normal. That is an example of appropriate resourcing. My boss approached me with equality and respect. She was not jealous of me. She didn't want to fuck me. She didn't objectify me. She did not violate my boundaries. She did not have any personal issues with me. She was not afraid or intimidated by me. She was objective, detached, and neutral. In other words, she was cool. She very clearly articulated exactly what she needed. I was able to meet that need, so I did. She's happy. I'm happy. Thank you, drive through. That wasn't so hard, was it? When I was working in another workplace bullying environment, I used to say to myself, these people are shopping for milk in the liquor store. Now I understand what I was channeling. I always knew that these people wanted something from me. I could just never figure out what it was. It's not enough to work and to talk to people. You have to engage with them energetically, on their terms, on their level, in the way that they want. It's not enough to do and to speak. You have to be, like once more with feeling. Again, I don't think that's appropriate or fair. I work in letters. That's my educational background. I have worked as a translator, interpreter, editor, copy editor, proofreader, teacher, tutor, and writer, including technical and grant writing. I have degrees in languages and journalism. I do not have a degree in psychology. I have not studied psych since high school, which was over 30 years ago. I do not work as a psychiatrist, social worker, counselor, or therapist. I am also not, incidentally, an actress, model, whatever, who was put on this earth for your entertainment. And I am not a prostitute, call girl, escort, or exotic dancer. When I need an oil change, I take my car to the dealership. When I have allergies, I book an appointment with my PCP. I do not ask my doctor to change my oil, and I don't get allergy meds at Jiffy Lube. When I have a need, I approach the person who can meet that need. I source appropriately. One of the reasons you are bullied in the workplace sometimes is that you are simply too darn healthy. If you are professional and appropriate and you actually have boundaries, and if you are a peaceful person who is conflict averse in a toxic, dysfunctional workplace environment, your coworkers think you're boring. They may even call you that. You're no fun. Now, the truth is, if you are a calm person, that's probably because you've already had enough drama to last multiple lifetimes. Your nervous system is shot to hell, and you're done, cooked. You could stick a fork in you. You understand what Mary J. Blige meant when she sang no more drama. If it's not Netflix and chill, you're not having it. Your coworkers also think you're fake. You're hiding something, you're keeping secrets. No one's ever that nice. So bring on the stalking. They have to start digging and fishing for your Achilles heel, for that one eyelash out of place, to prove to themselves that you are not as perfect as they think you are, and to make themselves feel better about their own ugliness. A lot of workplace bullying and narcissistic abuse in general is a provocation to drag you down to their level so that they don't have to evolve and up level in order to meet you on yours. It's fight picking. It's narcissistic fight picking. It's an anxious attachment style. This is what the anxious do. They fight pick. It's leveling the playing field, if that makes sense. And it's also perverse empathy. They don't have the capacity to interact with you the way that you want to, but the fact that they are trying to force you to engage with them on their level means that they do want to connect with you. It's just that it has to be on their terms and on their level because it's all about them. This is lowest common denominator thinking. Again, they want you to be messy. Your peace and your calm forces them to do the one thing that they really do not want to do, which is to be alone with themselves and confront their own trauma. I know workplace bullies can appear smug when they know they are hurting you, but inside, these people are monstrously unhealed, and it is nothing but chaos, drama, conflict, and turmoil. I promise you. Trust and believe. Chaotic people create drama. What that does is it externalizes their ugliness so they never have to do anything about it. I'll give you an example. I think it was season 4 of Love is Blind. I'm a Love is Blind stan. The Seattle season that had Marshall and Jackie, a very typical toxic Love is Blind couple. Marshall is the most classic example of an unhealed, untrained empath I have ever seen in my life. He even has those big ass empath eyes, and he shows up as unhealed, untrained empaths who do not know anything about love and relationships often do in relationships with his cup of love, like, I'm here, I love you, and you love me, so we'll be together forever, right? He is securely attached. He is emotionally open, present, and available, and he is not at all prepared for what she is bringing to the table. Jackie, by her own admission, has a lot of problems. She clearly comes from a background of abuse, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. She has a lot of trauma and a very unhealthy attachment style. I would say she's probably disorganized because she's alternately anxious and avoidant. There's this one scene where they're having a fight and she's poking the bear. She keeps insulting his masculinity. She needles him, and she needles him, and she needles him until finally he claps back. He says something to her that's kind of mean and not in keeping with his character. And then get this, she goes over to him and gives him a big hug. It's astonishing to watch. She finally got what she wanted. She dragged him down to her level. She got him to be just as ugly as she is. She forced him to play the role of the abuser in keeping with her familiar tapes and programs. That way, she doesn't have to change anything about herself and meet him on his level of unconditional love and healthy attachment. So she rewards him. So obviously, these two don't last. When they're breaking up, she says to him, Marshall, I can't love you. What she means is that he's just too damn healthy for her. She doesn't speak that language. She doesn't speak healthy. Unconditional love and secure attachment do not fit into her disordered reality. So she goes off and shacks up with an abusive narcissist, allegedly for entertainment purposes only, who probably smacks her around because that's what she's used to. That's her normal. She keeps saying throughout the season that she knows that she has problems and that she needs to work on herself. And I really respect that self-awareness. Hopefully at some point she can get some counseling and learn to accept healthy love. And hopefully Marshall can learn to be attracted to women who have already done their work and who have already healed, so he doesn't have to be such a fix-a-hoe. All of this is all very well and good. We are not Jesus Christ. We are not perfect. We all have problems. We all have issues. We all have trauma. Psychologists estimate that the overwhelming majority of families are dysfunctional. There is no such thing as a perfect family. We all have to work on our self-esteem, our emotional literacy, and our attachment style. And we have to work it out. And I believe we can only do that through relationships with other people. Pema Chodron said that if she didn't have any relationships in her life, all the meditating in the world would not amount to a hill of beans. If you do not come from the healthiest family in the whole entire world, you probably had to kiss a few frogs. That's just how it is. That's what interpersonal relationships are for. Even the healthiest couples fight. That's normal. You fight with your family members. You fight with your friends. You fight with your partner. Family and friendships are the emotional space in life. But here's the deal. This is the workplace. This channel is about work. It's not about family. It's not about friends. Again, work is not family. Family is not work. We are not family members. We are not friends. I am not fucking you. You don't live with me. You don't sleep with me. For fuck's sake, people. We should not even be having this conversation. whatever happened to actually working? Yes, if I were in a romantic relationship with someone and I was not meeting his emotional needs, that would be a problem. Absolutely. I understand. I should not, however, lose 30 years of my life and $1 million in income because I never met the completely unarticulated emotional and sexual needs of a bunch of cowards who never had the courage to communicate with me directly. Again, there are several reasons you do not engage energetically with people in the workplace. First, you may be non-neurotypical, diagnosed or not, and you just can't read what these people want because it's so irrational. You may have some kind of mental health condition like depression, which severely limits your ability to emote. You have just enough bandwidth to barely survive and nothing left over for anything else. You may also just be naturally aloof and emotionally detached. That may just be your baseline personality. Aloofness in astrology is Aquarius, if you're interested. Air signs in general are emotionally detached. This may be due to your upbringing or even your culture. Some cultures in the world are just generally less warm and more distant. You may also be avoidant. That is less about nature and more about nurture. It's a trauma response. I believe that a lot of avoidants were actually anxious or disorganized earlier in life, but they got hurt so badly that they just gave up. It's a very existential response. Well, the hell with this, screw this, I'm not even going to try anymore. When you have an insecure attachment style, but you want to connect, you feel like a puzzle piece that you keep trying to fit into the wrong place, and it's just so painful that at some point you just stop trying. It's the definition of insanity. You may also be disconnected from your emotional body. If you have severe trauma, your emotional body may no longer be a safe space for you. You may have exited your heart space and taken the elevator on up to the rarefied ivory tower of your head space. You may be the kind of person who processes emotion by intellectualizing your feelings instead of actually feeling them, especially if you identify as someone with an above average IQ. This is the computer archetype in psychology. You may also be unemotional in the workplace because you're actually working. You assumed that you were hired for your intellect and your education. You show up with your brain assuming that that is what these people want. That's not what they want. Another reason you do not engage with people the way that they want you to is that you are introverted. Introversion will always be misinterpreted as snobbery, especially if you are physically attractive. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Workplace bullying is tall poppy syndrome. It's cutting down tall trees. Workplace bullies always target the best and the brightest. They target the star of the workplace. By star, I usually mean the most talented. But it could be your physical attractiveness or some other attractive quality that you have that is making you shine. Yes, people are very jealous of physically attractive people, but they also really like them. That's the halo effect everyone keeps talking about. If you are an attractive person, I'm sure that the universe has very clearly shown you the absolute worst that humanity has to offer. You attract the abject scum of the earth because narcissists are empty people with ooh shiny syndrome. They are also defined by superficiality. They don't do depth. They are very easily distracted by pretty shiny things. It's like a baby with a mobile or a little kid in a toy store. If you are an attractive person, you're a squirrel. Narcissists are attracted to shiny, happy people because they are hoping that some of that shine will rub off on them. They literally fantasize about being able to show off their arm candy in public in order to source the external validation they constantly demand. They're not there to enjoy the theatrical performance or the nice dinner out. They don't care about the substance of the actual event. They're in it for supply. They live entirely in the eyes of other people. Everybody look at me. This is my car, this is my watch, this is my bitch, in that order. If you are going to have a relationship with a narcissist or interact with one in any capacity, you are not a human being, you are an object. You are an accessory, a handbag, a tool that exists only to service their needs, not the other way around. If you dare to express a need, you will get gaslit as high maintenance. But physical attractiveness plus introversion is a toxic cocktail. And I don't mean French blonde, I mean Molotov. Physical attractiveness combined with introversion is probably the worst combination you can possibly have in the workplace. Again, they already do not feel good enough for you. They already assume that you won't like them and that you will reject them. If you express anything less than this big ass, over the top, in your face, emotional display the minute that you meet them, if you are anything less than overjoyed and thrilled to be graced by their presence and to breathe the same air as them, what's it gonna be? You're stuck up, standoffish, a high-class, elitist snob who thinks she's better than everybody else. Who do you think you are? You think you're all that, and a bag of chips. What, we're not good enough for you? Blah, 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 etc. Another psychic once said to me, everybody wants to be friends with the pretty popular girl. Again, could have fooled me. All I've experienced is years of abuse. This doesn't look like friendship to me. I'm not popular and I'm not a girl. That is not my self-concept. I've had two self-concepts my entire life. The first is olive oil, like in Popeye, the mousy librarian. The second is the crone. For some reason, ever since I was a child, I have always felt like an old woman. I actually approach everyone I meet with a spirit of equality because I assume that they're just like me, a projection that is the biggest mistake of my life. In fact, I often place myself under people, especially when I'm new, because I assume that they know more than I do. If all of these horrible things that everyone says about me were true, if I really believed that I were all that, don't you think I would enter the workplace with an entirely different energy? I would walk in here styling like Cardi B on the red carpet. Now you may kiss the ring. Okay, maybe not Cardi B. Let's go with Megan Thee Stallion. Again, you may not be a natural introvert. You may have had introversion forced on you by sick, disgusting people. It's another very existential response. If no one in my immediate environment is capable of meeting my needs, well, I'm just gonna sit here and meet my own damn needs. I'm an air sign. Air signs like to talk. I am more than happy to fully engage for hours with people who respect my boundaries, who are not jealous of me, who do not want to have sex with me, who do not objectify me, who understand and accept me the way that I am, and who do not try to change me with unsolicited advice, which is nothing more than a form of passive control. In my work as a tutor, I have had many 4-hour sessions. I have left my clients' houses at midnight. I have talked for as long as 8 hours. I have been on the phone for 8 hours. Your introversion may be spiritual. This is what I believe Dr. Ramani calls soul distancing and what I call empathic shrinkage, which I think I just made up. Look, these people are sick, and unfortunately, when we hang out with sick people, we get sick. Introversion may actually just be another self-protective defense mechanism. It's a spiritual mask. One of my theories about workplace bullying is that targets of workplace bullying are intuitive. I'm not saying you see dead people. You might, but my guess is your intuition is pretty good. You may not actually be consciously aware, but your soul knows everything. You know when you are interacting with someone who is not safe. And your boundaries go up like Beyonce's partition. If you are a spiritual person and you have been praying for protection, guess what? You got it. Your angels are working overtime. I didn't know for a year and a half that my covert narcissist boss was trying to feed off of my energy, but my spirit team did. My guides were amazing, and they were protecting me the whole time. And that just pissed her off even more. Predatory energy vampires hate heavily protected people. So, long story longer, workplace bullies think you don't like them. And they would be right. You don't like them. I know you don't. I don't like them either. When you first meet most workplace bullies, your initial gut reaction is, ew. Ew! It has nothing to do with what they look like or what they smell like. It's just their energy. Their energy is disgusting. But they may be just as sensitive as you are, and they can pick up on your distaste. They feel rejected by you. Look, the truth is, no one likes rejection. But narcissists have a heightened hypersensitivity to rejection because it activates their toxic shame and their abandonment wound. And they feel entitled to hurt you for the narcissistic injury that you inflicted by asserting boundaries with them, even if those boundaries are only energetic, because they refuse to take responsibility for their bad spiritual hygiene. Once again, none of this has anything to do with work. Part of the gaslighting of targets of workplace bullying is apparently to not take it personally. Not taking things personally has become a humble brag. People actually say that. I never take anything personally. Guess what? Some things really are personal. They don't treat everyone like this. It's called the target for a reason. When I worked as a proofreader in the oil field services industry, my boss set up a litmus test for me. She organized an event after work, unpaid, which I declined to attend because I didn't feel like socializing in my free time with people who had been bullying me for months. When I didn't show up, she fired me on the spot. Meanwhile, I had 2 coworkers who sat across the aisle from me. One of them was pregnant and literally slept at her desk all day, and not one single person in the entire building ever bothered to even learn these people's names. But I was fired during the worst financial crisis of the century because I didn't go to Friday night bowling. That is not just unfair, I think that should be criminal. I hope that helps. Take care.